The first time I realized something was wrong with my mailbox, it wasn't because a package went missing. It was because a birthday card from my mother arrived already open. The envelope bent like it had been pried apart and then smoothed back down with careless fingers. Inside, the cash she always tucked in for me was gone. I stood there on my front porch, holding that empty envelope, feeling a strange mix of hurt and anger settle in my chest. Someone hadn't just stolen money. They'd crossed a quiet, personal line. I live in a small neighborhood where everyone claims to know everyone else. It's the kind of place where people wave from driveways and talk about community values at block meetings. I'd moved in a year earlier, proud to finally own a place of my own after years of saving and working late nights. Most of my neighbors were polite enough, but there was one woman who stood out almost immediately. Karen lived 3 houses down, always watching from behind her curtains, always ready with a tight smile that never reached her eyes. She had opinions about everything: who parked where, whose lawn was too tall, who belonged and who didn't. I tried to ignore her. I believed, maybe naively, that if I kept my head down and minded my own business, things would stay peaceful. The missing mail kept happening. A bank statement never arrived. Then a package marked delivered vanished without a trace. I contacted the Postal Service, thinking maybe it was a routing issue. They were sympathetic but firm. Tracking showed delivery had been made. I installed a simple camera near my porch, hoping it would give me peace of mind. Days passed with nothing unusual until one afternoon when I checked the footage and felt my stomach drop. The video showed Karen walking up to my mailbox in broad daylight, glancing around, opening it, and slipping my mail into her purse like it was the most natural thing in the world. I sat there replaying the clip, my hands shaking, not just from anger, but from disbelief. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was theft, and it felt deeply personal, layered with the subtle hostility I'd felt from her since day one. I debated confronting her, but something held me back. I wanted to be careful. I wanted to be smart. That's when I decided to install a smart lock on my mailbox. It wasn't flashy or aggressive, just a secure, legal way to protect my mail. I spent a Saturday afternoon installing it, following the instructions carefully, feeling a small sense of relief with every turn of the screwdriver. For the first time in weeks, I slept a little easier that night. The next morning, as I was leaving for work, I heard her voice before I saw her, sharp, loud, cutting through the quiet street. "What do you think you're doing?" Karen stood by my mailbox, arms crossed, face red with anger. "I installed a lock," I said calmly. "My mail's been going missing." Her eyes narrowed. "That's illegal. I'm calling the police." Before I could respond, she pulled out her phone and dialed 911, loudly announcing that I was tampering with federal property and acting suspicious. As she spoke, her words grew more exaggerated, more loaded, her tone dripping with accusation. She looked at me like I was a problem she'd been waiting to report. Neighbors began to peek out of their houses. I felt exposed, humiliated, my heart pounding as she painted me as a threat simply for protecting what was mine. I said nothing. I remembered the footage. I remembered the truth. When the police arrived, Karen launched into her story with dramatic flair. She claimed I was trying to hide something, that I was breaking the law, that she felt unsafe. I listened quietly, hands visible, breathing slow. When the officer finally turned to me, I spoke plainly. "My mail has been stolen multiple times," I said. "I installed a legal mailbox lock, and I have video evidence of who's been taking it." Karen froze. I pulled up the footage on my phone and handed it to the officer. The street seemed to go silent as he watched Karen on screen, opening my mailbox, stealing my letters, over and over again. Her face drained of color. She tried to interrupt, to explain, to laugh it off, but the evidence spoke louder than her words ever could. The officer sighed, a tired sound. He explained calmly and clearly that stealing mail is a federal offense, and that installing a lock on a personal mailbox is not illegal. Karen's bluster collapsed into stammering excuses. She was issued a citation on the spot and informed that further investigation could follow. As the police left, the neighbors who had been watching slowly drifted back to their homes. Some avoided Karen's gaze. Others looked at me with something new in their eyes: understanding, maybe even respect. Karen didn't say another word. She just turned and walked back to her house, shoulders hunched, her sense of control finally broken. In the days that followed, something shifted. The mail arrived untouched. The neighborhood felt quieter, lighter. A few neighbors stopped by to apologize for not speaking up sooner, for assuming instead of asking. One older man across the street brought me a coffee and told me he admired how I handled myself. I thanked him, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with caffeine. What stayed with me most wasn't the fear or the anger, but the lesson. Standing up for yourself doesn't always mean raising your voice. Sometimes it means staying calm, trusting the truth, and letting facts speak where accusations fall apart. Installing that lock wasn't just about protecting my mail, it was about protecting my dignity. By the time my mother's next birthday card arrived, sealed and safe, I smiled as I held it. Not because the problem had been solved, but because I had learned something powerful. You don't have to accept disrespect, and you don't have to become cruel to confront it. Strength can be quiet, justice can be steady, and sometimes the smallest actions, like locking a mailbox, can unlock something much bigger inside you.